Food intolerance versus food allergy. What is the difference? Just because you might have thrown up after taking a certain medication does not mean you are allergic to said medication. Hey there, my name is Lesline and I am your favorite nurse yogi. If this is your first time clicking on my pretty face, thank you. Make sure you subscribe. So, as a registered nurse with 12 years of healthcare experience, and I'm also a certified yoga instructor, but today we're really going to go in my nurse bag. I remember when I worked in the People's Hospital, because I no longer work in the People's Hospital, I work from home as a registered nurse. But when I used to work in the hospital and I'd have to do intake and assessment, that first assessment, you have to ask the patient all of these questions. And one of the questions is, what are your allergies, right? Because we want to make sure we are not causing further harm to you. And people would be like, oh, I'm allergic to morphine. And then I would further ask, because I'm not just going to write that down, I say, what happens to you when you take morphine? Patient says, I vomit, I throw up. And I say, if they don't give me pushback, I say, well, technically that's not an allergy. That is an intolerance to the medication. And they say, no, it's allergic. I don't want to deal it. I become so miserable, right? And so there's just education. And I was actually talking to a friend about, she said she was allergic to bananas. And she says she gets like her mouth gets itchy. And I was like, yes, that is an allergy, right? So we're going to break down in today's video what the difference is, because when I worked in the hospital and people would say, oh, morphine makes me vomit, it's like, okay, that's an intolerance. Like, you're intolerant to that, right? And so the difference is really within the systems. We have systems within our body. Incredible, right? And today, though, we're going to focus on the digestive system versus your immune system. We are all pretty well versed with what our immune system is and immunity, especially post 2020, right? I don't know when you're watching this, but at time of recording, it is March 21st, 2026. So it's been 6 years now since 2020, which was the pandemic. In case you're like, what is this girl talking about? I am talking about the pandemic, right? Which changed the world. And a lot of people really, a lot of us, I'll talk for the side that I'm happy to see, we're like, I need to start taking care of my health. I need to start taking care of my wellness. I need to start building up my immune system. So if you didn't know already, that is a whole system in your body. And if you take a certain medication or you eat a certain food, your immune system will respond if it does not like it. Okay. So just for reference, and I'm going to leave this information down in the description, I am referring to the American Academy of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology for my point of reference. I am a registered nurse. I like to be evidence-based as best as I can, so you can read what I'm breaking down for your own reference down below. So not only do I have my backing as a registered nurse for this, right? But I've also experienced an allergic reaction, a severe one where my lips swole up to the size of Hitch. In case you're not good with movies, because I'm not, and why am I do that to y'all when I can't stand when people reference movies, because I'm like, no, I don't know. Give me a Disney Channel movie reference, but I feel like we don't be doing that. So I'm gonna make a point to start referencing Disney Channel movies more, because I'm a Disney Channel millennial person, okay? I digress, but my lips swole up to the size of Hitch. There was a movie with Will Smith. It's pretty common, but he ate like shellfish or something, because that's a common allergy that people have. They eat shellfish and their whole face blow up, lips get swollen, face swells, and their throat closes, and that is an anaphylactic reaction. That is your immune system said and it's fighting, it's releasing immunoglobulins, if you will. It's releasing all of these things to fight that shellfish, right? So for me, it wasn't shellfish. It was actually a medication called aldactone. So I have a whole nother video about my the reason I was taking aldactone. So just briefly, I was taking aldactone to clear my cystic acne. I went to a dermatologist and the dermatologist was like, here is aldactone. And I was like, as a nurse, I'm like, that's a diuretic. A diuretic is a water pill that we typically give people that have heart failure or people that have or have something wrong with their kidneys, like acute kidney injury, right? We want to diurese, make you pee, a water pill, as much as you can to just clear out all of the fluid. And my camera is about to die. What is going on, y'all? How much percent do I have? Because I'm speaking real good. I got 30%. We'll be okay. So I was like, okay, a diuretic, because it's important. I will say this, that you ask questions, right? I don't want you to fight your medical provider, because I know what that's like working in the hospital and people, it just seems like, and I get it, people don't trust healthcare providers, especially if you look like me. There's a bad track record for us, right? So I get it, but just ask your questions, but make sure you're asking with kindness, right? Knowing that your healthcare provider has your best interest at heart. If you don't feel like they do, then you need to switch providers, right? So with that being said, though, I was like, a diuretic? I thought a diuretic was for, like I said, people that have heart failure or kidney issues. And they're like, no, yes, you're correct, but now we're starting to use it for people with acne. And I've actually been I actually heard somebody else talk about this too. They're like, I tried aldactone for my acne. It didn't work. It did work for me. And this is also what's so interesting with allergies, right? Allergies, when it comes to food, I'm going to continue my medication allergy, but when it comes to food, it is typically like within 60 seconds, like as soon as your tongue touches the melon or the banana, you will feel something. If that be your tongue starts to tingle and then it swells. Next thing you know, you're itching your neck. You start to see hives on your chest. That is an allergic reaction. You need to ideally call 911. I know but you need to call 911, because especially if your tongue is swelling, your neck is itching, and you have hives on the chest, that is concern for what is called angioedema. Angioedema is when your face swells up, your eyes swell up, your lips swell up, your throat closes. If your throat closes, you cannot breathe, and then you are okay, right? So that's when you would call 911. And when you go to the hospital, they'll give you an EpiPen, if you will, but they'll give it to you IV. Then what would happen is, I didn't know I was going to go this way, but this is really education, because it can be very scary having an allergic reaction. So, okay, let me though continue. So because not only have I had an allergic reaction, my son was severely allergic to eggs, and then my husband has a lot of allergies. So allergies is like a big thing in this house. So going back to me with the medication. So with the medication, aldactone, I was taking it, and I want to find the other name for you really quick, because in case, I believe aldactone is the generic name of the medication. It's also known as spironolactone. So if you see spironolactone or aldactone, that is a potassium sparing diuretic, okay? It's a water pill that typically also can treat high blood pressure, heart failure, edema, okay? So with that, I started taking it, right? When I tell you my skin was clear, it was clear. I'm wearing makeup now, but I don't even feel like it's been that clear since, but I'm being a little dramatic, but it was clear. It took maybe a couple weeks, right? Day 30 of taking that medication, they prescribed me to take it twice a day. So I would take it in the morning and I would take it in the evening, right? Day 30, I started itching. But it was like my whole body. And it was specifically after I got out of the shower. I took a shower in the morning and I got out, and you're hot. So your blood vessels are really dilated, if you will. Because I'd be taking hot showers. I know I shouldn't, but I do. And I was like, okay, like Maybe it's just allergies, right? Because it was around this time of year, which is February, March, which is spring, okay? So I was like, maybe it's just allergies, right? Itchy, itchy, itchy. So I pop a Allegra or something, or I think it was I popped Zyrtec, right? They're similar medications for like seasonal allergies, right? Then like that night, I remember I had a meeting, a networking thing I wanted to go to, and I was still like a little bit itchy. I was like, okay, let me take another Zyrtec, right? And then as the days progressed, the itching got worse. And I think it was maybe now we're day 30. Okay, so with that itching, I was like, okay, I'm going to stop taking the medication, right? And then maybe a few days later is when my lips swole up and it got so big. I already have very full lips, thank God. Naturally full lips, right? It was like my lips were so heavy. I was almost drooling a little bit. And I was like, okay, I think I'm going to be okay. I'm going to go to sleep. I was scared, but I went to sleep anyways. And I remember my husband was like, yeah, I was kind of just looking at you, making sure you were breathing. You were okay. The next day, it was like they swole up even more. And I was like, I need to go to the hospital. Like, I'm scared that. And this is what's interesting because this was a delayed allergic reaction because like I told you all, when you typically put anything in your mouth that your immune system says, it is going to typically flare up. Your body is going to do something typically immediately, which is amazing, right? For whatever reason, some allergies can be delayed, and that's what happened with me, right? So I went to the emergency room and they gave me like a steroid shot. I think it was like Decadron or something, or dexamethasone. They gave me that shot, and then it took like a full day for that to go down. So then after that, I went to see my primary care, who then referred me to see a dermatologist. I then and we're going to do a separate video relating to food allergies, how you can do an at-home food allergy test. That's going to be a separate video for you. But what I had to do was the skin test. So they put all the common allergies, cats, dogs, kiwi, whatever, on my back, and I wasn't allergic to anything. So then the doctor was like, yeah, it looks like you had a systemic reaction to the aldactone. Like it was a rule out, if you will, meaning they did all of the common allergies on my back, but it was a rule out. They were just like, okay, well, since you don't have any of those common allergies, it has to be that medication, right? So I stopped taking that, and that was really scary. And my skincare journey, like I said, it's a separate video. I can leave that down below if you're curious about that. But we figured it out. I found products that work for my skin. Shout out to Curology, not sponsored yet. So with food though, right? So with a food allergy, this will look like, I'm going to use my son, for example. When he was 9 months, he had his 9-month appointment. The pediatrician was like, okay, now you can start introducing foods. Because I was very strict. I was very whatever the doctor says, I'm going to do, right? So we didn't introduce foods until they that 6 to 9 month range. So 9 months, they're like, yeah, you can give him scrambled eggs. So I was so excited. I remember this like it was yesterday. I went home, I made him his eggs, and I put it on his high chair table, and he starts eating it. And the next thing you know, he starts crying because he's 9 months, so he can't talk. Starts crying really like he's a fuss. He was annoyed. Next thing you know, I see hives just start appearing around his mouth. And the nurse in me, I said, oh my God, he's having an allergic reaction. I need to take him to the doctor immediately. I took him to urgent care. But I remember as the hives were forming only around his mouth, not on his neck, not on his chest, nowhere else on his body, he was crying, and then he blacked out for a minute. And then I was like, what the heck? And then he came to, and that was even more concerning. So I called my husband, and I was like, I'm taking him to urgent care because I don't know what's going on. Of course, when you take your car to get service, he was fine. The hives went away. And so, but when it comes to kids, people are very we take that, especially with an allergy, and especially in this day and age, they're like, okay, well, we're still going to take this seriously. We believe you, mom, and I didn't take a picture because I should have, but they believed me. And so they're like, hey, we're going to make sure, follow up with your your pediatrician. But right now, he looks fine. Just don't give him eggs and see what your pediatrician says. So pediatrician, they made him have an EpiPen. We never had to use the EpiPen, because we're like, okay, we're going to make sure we remove eggs. Like, he cannot eat eggs. So also, like I said, my husband has really bad allergies. So we're used to like in our home, we're just very strict and good of like no cross contamination with things. So he was fine. So then I think maybe he was about 2. He ate Cold Stone ice cream. Cold Stone ice cream at the time, I don't know if it still does, has egg in it. And yeah, it's weird, right? Some ice creams have egg, and he ate it. So fast forward, this is maybe like 9 months later. He ate it and he started going, and I said, I said, 911. I immediately called 911. I was like, I don't play. And so 911 came. We went in the ambulance. They took him. We went to the hospital, and they just monitored him, and he was fine. So he's never had the throat closure, but it's very scary, right? So then now here we are, fast forward, he's 7, he's gonna be 8 in a couple months. I've heard, I haven't looked fully in research, but typically your taste buds change like every 7 years. So it was me and like my mother-in-law too, because she's a retired nurse, was like, hey, like maybe you should like retry the egg thing and see if he's still allergic, because especially as kids, you can grow out of allergies. And as adults, you can develop allergies. So we spoke with the pediatrician, and they were like, okay, they drew his blood. So they drew his blood. The blood panels came back, and it was like, it showed that he still kind of sort of was allergic to egg, but they were comfortable with doing what's called a at-home food challenge test. I'm looking at my paper. We're going to talk about how you do that in a whole separate video. We did that, and he's no longer allergic to eggs, okay? So those are my personal stories with a delayed medication allergy and a actual food allergy with my son, right? So again, just referencing the American Academy of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology. And I'm just reading verbatim now. Some of the symptoms of food intolerance and food allergy are similar, but the differences between the two are very important. Eating a food you are intolerant to can leave you feeling miserable. This is their words. However, if you have a true food allergy, your body's reaction to this food could be life-threatening. Okay, so we talked about that. Then we talked about digestive system versus your immune system. So we're recapping now. So a food intolerance response takes place in your digestive system. So going back to the beginning of this video, when I said, I ask a patient, do you have any allergies? And they say, I'm allergic to morphine. And then I say, what happens if you take morphine? I throw up. That is an intolerance to the medication. That is also not, it's technically a side effect. It can be a side effect. Any medication you take, side effects are nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. Any medication for the most part, because it's a medication. It's not natural to your body, right? And so if that is the case with somebody, like they're like, I vomit or whatever, it's like, okay, well, we'll let the doctor know that's an intolerance, but I'm not going to put that in your chart as an allergy, because then you got to wear a band. It's a whole thing, right? And but that's because you're vomiting, that's in your digestive system that's taking place. Your digestive system says, I don't like this. Something in this is not right? Which is true. It's your body. Who am I to say? And also it's because you're unable to properly break down that medication. And then in the case of food, right? This is a very good example. If you are lactose intolerant, it says it in the verbiage, intolerant to lactose. So that's all your digestive system, because people that I have close friends and my husband are allergic to have an intolerance. See, words mean things. Have an intolerance to milk, so they get the bubble guts. They in the bathroom hating their life if they choose to eat mac and cheese or drink whole milk. Right? You're intolerant to it because your body does not have those enzymes or whatever it is to break down the what's in the milk, the lactose, right? And there are like the lactate pills and lactate ice cream. Like there's these things now, which is amazing that you can eat. So then you pop your lactate. I know this because my friend be doing this. She be popping her lactate and then she'll like consume the mac and cheese and she's better, right? So we talked about those enzyme deficiencies. A food allergic reaction involves the immune system. Completely different system, right? So your immune system controls how your body defends itself. So, especially like I said, post 2020, a lot of people are like, I got to build up my immunity. What you're saying is you're building up your immune system, right? So I talked about if you have a true allergy to cow's milk, what is going to happen is you're going to get itchy. You are going to maybe you're coughing because your throat is starting to close. Okay, those are immune system responses. So your immune system is identifying cow milk as an invader or allergen, and your immune system overreacts by producing antibodies called immunoglobulin E, also known as IgE. These antibodies travel to cells that release chemicals, causing an allergic reaction. Each type of IgE has a specific radar for each type of allergen. Wild, isn't it? So we naturally have immunoglobulins in our body. This is a part of the immune system, right? And so what happens is if your body gets something that it's like, invader. You think of it like, God forbid, somebody comes into your home without you asking. You are immediately going to do something to remove said invader. And that's what the immunoglobulins are. They are the goons. The immunoglobulins are the goons. This is how I studied for nursing school. So unlike an intolerance to food, a food allergy can cause a serious or even life-threatening reaction by eating a microscopic amount. Everybody is different, right? But some people it's even like, and because of the allergies in our home and me being a nurse, you read the back of nutrition labels and it's like, this was made in a facility that contains peanuts. Some people are so like sensitive, like their allergy is so sensitive, they can't even be in the room. Like you open the peanut brittle and you just open it in the air, those particles that now have the peanut, allergic reaction. Like those people, it's really, it sucks, right? So yeah, a microscopic amount, like touching or inhaling the food. Look at me knowing already before reading this. Symptoms of allergic reactions to foods are generally seen on the skin. So this is something else, like I want you all to know. If you have, so again, I'm wrapping this video up, but just know a true allergic reaction, it's going to appear on your skin, right? So hives, itchiness, swelling of the skin. Gastrointestinal symptoms may include vomiting and diarrhea. Respiratory symptoms may accompany skin and gastrointestinal symptoms, but don't usually occur alone. So that's also something with an allergic reaction. If it involves two systems, you need to bye. So going back to my son with the Cold Stone ice cream, he was coughing and he said he was itchy. So with us, I was like, okay, I'm the two symptoms for example, like if you're itching and then next thing you know, you're like having to go run to the bathroom, the itching is your immune system. You having to use the bathroom to take a poop, that is your digestive system. So if both of the systems are responding, that deems like 911 for real, okay? So anaphylaxis is a serious allergic reaction that happens very quickly. So we're recapping here. Symptoms of anaphylaxis may include difficulty breathing, dizziness, or loss of consciousness. So, as a parent too, I don't want to say I overreacted. I responded in the way I needed to respond for my kid. So with my son, when the egg thing, he was itching. That's one symptom, right? And then he just blacked out. He was crying and he blacked out. And for me, I'm saying that's 2 symptoms because if you're crying, it's probably your stomach is bothering you, right? Something with the egg he didn't like. And then the hives is the immune. So the hives is the immune. Him crying, I'm assuming, is his digestive system because his tummy is bothering him. 2 symptoms, 911, right? So symptoms of anaphylaxis may include difficulty breathing. Oh, okay, I said that already. Without immediate treatment, epinephrine, and expert care, anaphylaxis can be fatal. So so if you have ever had an anaphylactic reaction and you've ended up in the hospital, you most likely were told and then you had to follow up with your primary care provider. You were given an EpiPen. EpiPen is short for epinephrine, right? Epinephrine is it constricts. No, I lied. Let me not try to be team hero. Epinephrine opens everything up, right? It opens because what's happening, everything is constricting. And I'm going to double check myself really quick as I know this video. I just want you guys to get epinephrine. Okay, here we go. There we go. Good. So epinephrine it works by rapidly, constricting blood vessels, relaxing airway muscles. So it's let me repeat that. Epinephrine and EpiPen, what it does when you put it in the thigh, it works by rapidly constricting your blood vessels, but relaxing your airway muscles and increasing your heart rate to reverse severe symptoms. Okay. So and epinephrine is also known as adrenaline. So if you think of like an adrenaline rush, that's the same type of reaction that epinephrine is doing. Okay, let's go back. Just make sure I said everything to you all. So we talked about that. And then, okay, so just to close the video, and that part 2 is going to be talking about a food intolerance or food challenge test. So like I said, you're going to go 911, right? Straight to 911 if you're having an anaphylactic reaction. Throat is closing, you're coughing, eyes are itchy, right? Once you go to do 911, they're then going to make sure you follow up with your primary care. When you follow up with your primary care, they're going to recommend you see an allergist. So when do you see an allergist, right? If you think you might have a food allergy. I shared with you all when I saw the allergist, I had to do the test, the food test where they, the allergy test, which is I forget how many common allergies they are, but they put it on my back and then they just inject you with these little little needles. And then they put squares around each needle to see how big each one swells up, right? If you have limited your diet based on food allergies, go see an allergist. For the best diagnosis as well as treatment and avoidance measures, so you would see an allergist so they can give you your treatment plan because it can be very serious. So to close, there is a very serious difference between being intolerant to a food and having a food allergy. So hopefully this video helped you. If you have any questions, please let me know down below. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment, and I will see you in the next video. Oh yeah, also this is going to be day 45 of 100 days of YouTube straight. All right, y'all, see you in the next one. Bye for now.